Well, hello, this is Jack Sheffield, Jack the exam guy. What we're looking at right here is this is a screenshot of the feedback from a practice exam on my website. All right, so all my courses, at the end of the course, there are practice exams which will simulate what you're going to see on the actual state exam. Now, this is for the business and finance for the Florida State Contractors exam. All right, so let's take a look at it. And as you can see, somebody got this question wrong. And she said, "Hey, what's going on here? What have I missed?" Well, this is one, it's easy to miss something. And this is why you need somebody to walk you through this stuff. Very few people can pass these exams without having somebody help them out a little bit. And that's what I do. Okay, so let's read it real quick. The contractor abandons a construction project. The qualifying agent knew of the circumstances and failed to take the corrective action. The maximum total fine is, and it seems like it's $10,000, but hold on a minute. It's been marked wrong. So we go to, first of all, we know it's a fine and it's about licensing, it's a qualifying agent. So we can say, you know what, it's probably in chapter 2. And we know the word for word law, chapter 2, is in chapter 2. They call it chapter 489. This is the licensing law for Florida, chapter 49. This is something you need to become familiar with, all the rules and what have you, since you're going to be out there, hammering nails and stuff like that. So they want you to be aware of what the laws are and what the fines can be. Okay, so chapter 49. Now you can look on the feedback on my course. It tells you where the answer is. The correct answer is on page 2-83, 2-84 of the 2021, or on pages 2-95 and 96 of the 2017 Florida's Contractors Manual. All right, so depending on which manual you have. Now, you may actually be watching this when another edition of the manual comes out. So of course, these page numbers will probably be wrong, but you just look up that section in chapter 2, which is the chapter 489, okay, Florida statutes regarding contracting. All right. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to look at section 49.129, paragraph 1 and 2. So we see that section, if we looked in the table of contents, it would have said there's a little table of contents at the beginning of these word for word law sections. All right. So if you look at that little table of contents at the beginning of chapter 489, it'll tell you that, hey, disciplinary proceedings is section 49.129. And we say, okay, what does it tell us here? It says the board can take any of the following actions, and you go down a few lines and it says impose an administrative fine not to exceed $10,000 per violation, requiring continued education, can assess costs associated and so forth. So I'm in paragraph 1 of 489.129, and I'm reading the first, some of that of the first paragraph. Okay, so $10,000, boom, because abandoning a construction project is down in section G2. We go further down the page. G2, it says the contractor has abandoned a job, customer's job. So here it is. It's under this section where you can get a $10,000 fine, and it says the contractor has abandoned a customer's job and so forth. It actually says, and these little dates are important. It's not important in this question, but it also says, terminate or refunds the excess funds within 30 days after the job is abandoned, or the contractor has, let's read that whole thing. The contractor has abandoned the customer's job and the percentage of completion is less than the percentage of the total contract price paid to the contractor at the time of the abandonment, unless the contractor is entitled to retain such funds under the terms of the contract, or refunds the excess funds within 30 days after the job is abandoned. That could be a question right there. That's not this question, though. This question just says, first of all, what can the fine be? And the fine is $10,000. All right. However, there's something else about this question that changes that answer. And it says the qualifying agent knew of the circumstances and failed to take corrective answer. Because see, the thing is, you can hire people and they can be out there doing things and you didn't know about it. Hey, they abandoned this job. You never got word of it. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden you're in trouble. But if you're the qualifying agent and you oversaw this and you knew what was going on, you got to read a little bit further. And then we go to paragraph Q2. Okay, so that's probably on the next page. Okay. And it says paragraph Q2, if a registrant or certificate holder disciplined under subsection 1, that was that section we just read, if they are a qualifying agent or financial responsible officer, so that's you if you're the contractor and hold the license, and the violation was performed in connection with a construction project undertaken by that business organization, the board may impose an additional administrative fine not to exceed $5,000 per violation. So if the qualifying agent knew of the circumstances and did not take corrective action, boom, another $5,000. That's why you need somebody to help you, with this information, because it can get very tricky. Not only do you have to find the original $10,000, but you got to keep reading. Okay. And then you say, wow, there's another $5,000 involved. So the actual correct answer is $15,000. And I got to tell you, it kind of reminds me of what I tell everybody, or I try to tell everybody, is that when you find an answer, back up a couple paragraphs, see if there's some type of, special circumstance there, and also read a few more paragraphs after that and see if there's not something that's going to change your answer. This is a typical, I wouldn't say it's typical because this is a little harder fact that you've got, than your typical question, that you've got to actually go in two different places and find the answer to a question. But there's quite a few out there. So this has been Jack Sheffield, Jack the Exam Guy. I appreciate you listening. My website is jacktheexamguy.com. And once again, don't let anybody tell you you don't know Jack.